The Battle of Stalingrad, August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943, was one of the most significant and brutal battles of World War II. It was fought between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union for control of the city of Stalingrad, now Volgograd, in southern Russia. It marked a turning point in the war on the Eastern Front, with the Soviet victory leading to the eventual downfall of Nazi Germany. 1. Introduction. August 1942. The Eastern Front of World War II. The German army, emboldened by years of victories, marches eastward. Their sights are set on the industrial city of Stalingrad, a key target for Adolf Hitler in his quest for domination. This city, named after Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, is now the stage for one of the bloodiest and most decisive battles in history. 2. Prelude to the battle. In the summer of 1942, Hitler's forces, fresh from victory in France and Poland, focus on securing the oil-rich Caucasus region. But Stalingrad, a key industrial center on the Volga River, becomes an irresistible symbol of Soviet defiance. The German Sixth Army, under General Friedrich Paulus, is ordered to seize the city at any cost. Stalingrad is not just a military target, it's a psychological blow to Stalin and his people. The battle is said to be brutal, and neither side will give up easily. 3. The battle begins. August 1942. On August 23, 1942, German bombers begin the first phase of the assault, a relentless aerial bombardment. The skies over Stalingrad rain fire and destruction, leveling much of the city. The Soviet defenders, led by General Vasily Chuikov, make their stand in the ruins. Stalin gives a simple command: not a step back. The fate of the city, and perhaps the war itself, is now sealed in the rubble. 4. The fight for every building. In the streets of Stalingrad, the fighting becomes a desperate struggle for every building, every room, every floor. The Germans underestimate the fierce resistance of the Soviet soldiers and civilians. The battle evolves into urban warfare like never before. The Germans face an enemy determined to defend every inch of the city. And with every passing day, the cost grows higher for both sides. 5. Soviet counteroffensive. November 1942. As winter closes in, the Soviets prepare for a counteroffensive. In November 1942, Soviet forces, under the command of General Zhukov, launch Operation Uranus, a daring encirclement that will trap the entire German Sixth Army in Stalingrad. The Soviet forces strike the weak points in the German flanks, defended by Romanian, Italian, and Hungarian troops, and encircle Paulus's army. A huge ring of Soviet forces closes around Stalingrad, trapping 300,000 German soldiers inside the city. 6. The German struggle for survival. Cut off from supply lines, trapped in the frozen ruins of Stalingrad, the German Sixth Army faces a fight for survival. Hitler refuses to allow a retreat and orders Paulus to hold the city at all costs. The Germans are besieged and starved. The Soviet forces tighten their grip with every passing day. Hitler's refusal to concede, and the weather turning against the Germans, spell disaster for the Sixth Army. Scene 7. The fall of Stalingrad, February 1943. By January 1943, the situation for the Germans becomes increasingly hopeless. General Paulus, realizing the inevitability of defeat, finally surrenders. On February 2, 1943, the last remnants of the German forces in Stalingrad surrender to the Soviets. The battle has ended, but at a devastating cost. Over 2 million people are killed, wounded, or captured during the months of fighting. Stalingrad, once a thriving city, is reduced to rubble. 8. The aftermath and legacy. The victory at Stalingrad marks the turning point in the war on the Eastern Front. The German army, once unstoppable, is now in retreat. The Soviets begin their long journey westward, pushing the Nazis out of Soviet territory and towards eventual victory in Berlin. The Battle of Stalingrad symbolizes the resilience of the human spirit, the cost of war, and the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. It is a reminder of the sacrifices made and the enduring courage of those who fought. 9. Conclusion. Stalingrad, a city that once stood as a symbol of defiance, became the crucible in which the fate of the Second World War was decided. The cost was staggering, but the outcome was clear. The tide of war had turned, and the Axis powers would never recover. Stalingrad would never be the same, but the memory of this great victory would live on, reminding the world of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of freedom.